Wait, say that again?
Breaking news, y'all. Pete Buttigieg just announced he is out of the presidential race. His staff now is hearing that he's dropping out. Apparently, he just canceled stops in Texas, and he's gonna return to South Bend.
What?
Which is wild.
So we just woke up.
It's so early.
It is early. It is cold. We have our gear.
All the gear.
What are we about to go do?
We're about to go talk to. Really?
I just keep seeing Smithies everywhere.
We are gonna go talk to some members of Extinction Rebellion and some members of the Vote 16 movement. Both of those groups are incredible and really passionate about what they do. XR is climate change
And yeah, we're excited for a fun, packed day. Guess what we're going to do after all this? We're going to, hold on.
Get it. Here, wait, I got it.
Where are we going after all the interviews?
We're going to
Smith!
I don't know.
SMITH.
My name's Nora Hamill. I'm 14 years old, and I go to Hampshire Regional in West Hampton.
In your mind, what's at stake with the climate crisis when you think about it and you think about why you're spending so much time in these advocacy groups? Why do it?
Everything's at stake. Like, our whole lives are at stake, everything, and it needs to be now or it's going to be never. So it's I really don't want to be doing this at all. I'd rather be going to the beach with my friends or doing normal teenage things, but instead I'm doing this, and that's not okay. It's everything's at stake. Everything's gonna, by 2050, if no one does anything, everything's gone.
Yeah. Vote 16 is a movement of young people trying to lower the voting age in rural communities to 16 years old, but then also on a national level. And we're gonna get breakfast.
Breakfast! We love breakfast here at the Tylt.
When you let high schoolers start voting, they're more likely to vote for the rest of their lives. There's lots of reasons.
Yeah, especially since we have such a strong base within our high school and within our youth community, we are able to actually educate current youth about voting and why people want to vote, and letting people have their own voices, and then those people are much more likely to continue voting throughout their lives. And when there's no education about voting because it doesn't pertain to youth from the beginning, then when getting to your 20s and getting to 18 it's time to vote, and there's no one telling you about what it means to do that and how you can get involved in that. So it's much more easy to get a stronger voting community if you're starting it from a younger age.
So what would you say to people that use that argument against you, where they say you haven't been part of the system for very long, you don't know how it works, so you should not be voting on things like health insurance and taxes and whatever else?
I mean, first of all, I would push back and say that, like you said, young people pay taxes.
Yeah, I'm paying taxes.
Young people work, and young people take care of their younger siblings, right? But furthermore, I think that actually young people do have a really good handle on these issues. Young people are in families that are evicted from their houses because of the 2008 bubble, right? Young people are in families that are struggling to pay health insurance. Young people are in families that have to move out of the better school district, right? Young people do understand these issues.
Kids who are going to vote are the kids who are so ready and so engaged and so excited about this opportunity. And even if that means that some of these kids are not, having the same political views as me, that doesn't mean that their voices are less important. And so, my parents, for example, at first they were like, that doesn't quite make so much sense. 16-year-old, I don't know. Yeah, but then afterwards, we've been working on it, and we've been writing legislation, and we've been going and advocating, and they've been really seeing that the people that are interested in this are really self-motivated and really excited about it and responsible with the opportunity that we have.
How does it feel right now leading into the 2020 election? Like we told you guys, we're here for Super Tuesday, things are ramping up, knowing that this primary season and this election is one of the most consequential for years to come. How does it feel knowing that this is happening right before your very eyes? You're working on campaigns, you're being volunteers, you're participating, but you can't actually cast a vote.
I feel helpless. I feel totally, completely helpless. I mean, like our political world right now is changing rapidly, and even as someone who's politically involved, there's very little I can do for it. You know, I can go and knock on doors, and I can try to educate people that do have votes, but
How does it feel to be welcomed back in your old stomping ground?
It feels great. Yeah, that's actually relevant. They like some Bernie. What do you think about this clock?
Oh, that's much better.
I think for me right now, I mean, I care a lot about healthcare policies as somebody who's very affected by them. Like, I've had a lot of personally affected by how private insurance can kind of suck sometimes. But I think my top issues a lot of the time would be relieving student debt. I think as someone who is in school, I also think reproductive rights right now especially are obviously really important. And I think that's something, especially because I go to historically women's college, that's like something that I think is a very big thing here, that like I think it's a very popular view on campus that a lot of us here are pro-choice, and I think that's something that we need to continue to push for. I've had experience through the psychiatric system through healthcare. My junior year, I left school and I did a partial hospitalization program for like depression and such. And my insurance company actually took me out of partial hospitalization early because they decided I didn't need it anymore. And like I 100 baseless. They didn't know me. They just kind of saw what a doctor was writing down and decided. And it was funny. They said, "Oh, she's not sad anymore. She's fine." And then a week later, I was diagnosed as bipolar.
And when you look ahead at the 2020 election, if you had to guess, what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I'm really hopeful about it. I know like a lot of people are very pessimistic, and I think I tend to be as well. But I think I can see a world in which, I mean, like, I know I'm voting. I am from California, so I sent in my absentee ballot yesterday. I mean, I voted for Bernie, and I can see a world, I think, in which he can take a victory and get to the White House.
When you think about the future, what scares you most and what are you most hopeful for?
I think what scares me most, just like partisanship and just how much more divided we are. I think as that's the most scary thing about processing this election period, and I feel like I've been like on the sidelines with this the campaigns recently and like just general politics, because I think over the years I've gotten more wary about interacting with them because we're all so like confined in our own spheres. Like we're very comfortable like with who our friends are, where we live, where we go to school, where we work. And so I think that the divides I'm most scared of, and those becoming even more extreme, so much so that we can't communicate without anger. But what I'm most hopeful for are literally like kids my age, and like just like with everything that's been happening, like with consistent protests every single week and about like really important issues. Like I'm an environmental science and policy major, so seeing like a lot of movements for like climate change and like addressing that to adults and like older generations who didn't consider our futures, and so seeing a lot of like positivity and just young people, young adults around the world, and like connecting and each like all of us supporting one another is something that I am consistently hopeful for.
How have you seen Smith change? Because I think Smith is a really politically charged campus. Yeah. It was when I was there. It was just all 4 years. My senior year is when Trump won the election. That was probably your first year then, right? Yeah.
I was talking with a friend not too long ago about how since of like the range of ages on this campus, how we don't really have like for like sensitive, but like 9/11 I think is like a day where like a lot of people remember, like that's a day like they know what they were doing, adults know what they were doing, what happened the entire week and month to follow, but a lot of us were too young to have like really formative thoughts. But I felt like the election day or the day after was like that day for me and all my peers of being like, oh, something just happened in history that we all felt and we can't like go back, and like there's something that like everything changes after this point. And so I think from then on campus it's felt very alive. Like it felt like it hasn't been dormant. Everyone's been a part of something.
Yeah, we've only seen one Warren sign, and the rest have been Bernie.
Now that we were just at Smith, all I see is men.
There's very much a masculine energy.
Oh my God.
Lots of like Timberlands and sweats and hoods.
So we've got the 2020 election coming up. In terms of issues that are important to you or things that you want to see changed, is there anything that you want people to be talking about more?
Well, I mean, not really. I don't really follow politics that much,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's obviously topics like pay inequality and stuff like that, so it's definitely important.
Yeah.
But I'm not really too involved, so.
That's okay. That's okay. Is there anything else like in your daily life that like comes to mind, whether it be like student debt or something like that, something that personally affects you?
I mean, me personally, I come from a pretty well-off family, but I do know I have a lot of friends that are going to be struggling for the rest of their lives with trying to pay off debt, so that's definitely an important topic. So that's
Are there any issues that are top of mind for you that you want to see candidates talk about or talk about more?
Yes, definitely immigration, just because I come from a background of immigrants. So definitely want to see candidates talk more about climate change and their opinions and viewpoints on what they want to do for the environment. I know a lot of people kind of talk about what they have for the future in 10 years or 15 years, but I feel like they need to talk about what they're going to do now to implement it for the future. Definitely wages.
When you say wages, are you talking about the wage gap
increasing,
or like the minimum wage?
Minimum wage.
And so what would you want to see minimum wage be?
$15 an hour.
Do you have any predictions for the election on who you think might win?
I think Bernie, just because a lot of people have think that he is the one who can take the Democrats and actually control the 2020 election and beat Donald Trump, but everything's up in the air.
34 degrees right now.
And people are wearing shorts?
People are wearing shorts.
Where?
People are wearing shorts. No one cares. No one has any particular interest.
Yeah, people on the UMass campus, we got the answer a lot of I don't really follow politics, or
Basically, I don't care.
I don't care, or there's not very many issues I care about, or that
if any.
So okay, we only talked to a few people, handful, but of our sample size, it appears that UMass students are not as politically inclined or do not follow politics as much.
The best part's coming again. Somebody wake me up. I just wanna be yours. All Bernie.
Wow. Wait, say that again?
Breaking news, y'all. Pete Buttigieg just announced he is out of the presidential race. His staff now is hearing that he's dropping out. Apparently, he just canceled stops in Texas, and he's gonna return to South Bend.
What?
Which is wild.
Hold on. Oh my God.
I guess Twitter did it because Dropout Pete has been trending.
Holy f***.
Damn, that's wild.
That's 4 minutes ago. Isn't that crazy? John in the other room, who was editing up a storm, just found out that Pete dropped, and he gasped, and we said,
If Pete dropped out, though, it would.
He's not about to.
oh,
He's
Pete's
gonna wide that.
he's gonna
right
be
back.
oh, I know. He'll be there the whole time.
How many people voted for him to drop out, though, in the town?
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at that right now. Let's see. This is
65.5% wanted him to drop out.
damn.
It was closed though. Oh yeah, it's closed. Twitter.
Oh my God, they're probably getting behind Joe.
That's what we just said.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's probably to go. What?
They're gonna fall in line. Oh my God.
Yeah. I want everyone to know that these are fried pickles, otherwise known as frickles.
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 Yes. Would you like to try a frickle?
I think I'm good luck.
Yeah, I figured.
But then, good.
It was a really fun day.
Yeah. Now we had local burger, frickles, chicken, etc. Yeah, it's been quite the day. Yeah. Yeah. Look at this one.
I didn't leave the house.
He didn't. He's been a hardworking boy.